The following is an AZPM original production.
Arizona Science is supported by Research Corporation for Science Advancement.
For AZPM, I'm Leslie Tolbert, Regents Professor Emerita in Neuroscience at the University of Arizona, and this is Arizona Science. Today our guest is Lindsay Halliday, Assistant Professor in the Department of Neuroscience. Lindsay, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Tell us about the main thrust of the research in your lab. You're interested in early life stress having an impact on us for the rest of our lives.
Exactly, yeah. So I'm a behavioral neuroscientist, and which means I was trained in both neuroscience and psychology. And so I'm very interested in questions that have relevance to humans. And one of the areas that I'm most interested in is understanding how neural development is influenced by our early environment. There is a lot of data showing that a huge number of individuals who experience childhood neglect or trauma or abuse go on to develop disorders that are related to things like emotional disorders or cognitive disorders, and the numbers are quite astronomical. And so trying to understand exactly what goes wrong in the brain when too much stress is exerted on someone is what the focus of my work is.
You're telling me about this amazing finding that early life stress has lifelong implications, even in mice.
Yes, we see various outcomes that do encompass things that are related to emotion and cognition and reward. And one of the new areas of research that my lab here is starting to branch off into is also looking at the immune system and understanding how not only is behavior related to the immune system and vice versa, but also how early life stress can actually interfere with maturation of the immune system as well during developmental critical periods. And so we are finding that even limited exposure to early life stress can alter the way that the immune system responds to stress itself. And there is a known connection between the immune system and stress, and in turn, behavior. And so I'm trying to identify what biomarkers might there be, or what systems are we actually altering with this exposure to early life stress.
How is the mouse a good model for human?
One might wonder why we care about stressing mice and what that will tell us. But mice are a great model for humans in the sense that they do have similar neural circuits and structures, and they have the same cell types that we have. They also exhibit behaviors that humans exhibit, including social motivation. Mice will work to earn rewards. Some mice are susceptible to addiction and some aren't. And it turns out that they also have similar developmental processes.
How many of the things that you see look like what you see in children who've been stressed?
Humans are tough because you can't perfectly control a child's environment. And so there are a lot of factors that come into play with regard to parental care or what children are experiencing in the classroom. And so mice are convenient in the way that we can perfectly control, to a great extent, their environment by either providing them with adequate care or not. You can get pretty good causal information from a mouse model where you can simply say, these mice did not get adequate care and these mice did. Let's look at their neural circuitry or their behavior later in life. The outcomes that we see are very much in line with what humans self-report or what you might observe in children or adults that have experienced stress. But that because there's a lot of other factors that come into play that you can't necessarily control, it would not be ethical to put children in a similar experimental setup. There is a limitation there, but I would say because it is easier and ethical to model humans from mice, that we can get really good information from mouse models that is experimentally sound, whereas it's more challenging with humans.
Well, thanks very much, Lindsay, for telling us about your very exciting research. Lindsay Halliday and her research team are probing the fundamental biology that underpins some of the persistent long-term effects of stress or adversity during life. You can listen to this and all Arizona Science conversations at azpm.org/Arizona Science. I'm Leslie Tolbert.
Thank you to Research Corporation for Science Advancement for their support of Arizona Science. AZPM podcasts are made possible in part by donations from listeners like you. Learn more at support.azpm.org. Thank you.